Hello, good morning, or good evening, whenever you are watching this. I hope you are doing well. My name is Catherine, and today we are doing my November reading wrap-up. I feel like I don't know how to review books anymore. I feel like I've just gotten generally worse at reviewing books. It's fine. So my month of November, I didn't read a whole lot. It was a bit of a slump for me, as apparently most Novembers are. I am hoping that I can get through it before the end of the year because there's so many books that I want to finish before the end of the year, but we'll see what happens. That being said, I did read some really great books during this month, and I have gotten back into fantasy. What a concept. So without further ado, let's get into it. In the month of November, I read a total of 7 books. 6 of those were audiobooks, and 1 of those was an ebook. Did I read any of the physical books that I own that I need to read? No. We're not going to talk about it. It's fine. Genre-wise, I read 3 contemporary romances, 1 YA fantasy, 1 new adult fantasy, and 1 YA horror, which is different. We are just going to go in the order that I read them since there aren't much to talk about. There isn't much to talk about. The first book that I read was Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Damford. I did actually read this for a reading vlog that will be coming out eventually if I finish the other book that I intend for that reading vlog. Like I said, things aren't really going to plan in terms of my reading. So I'll talk a little more in depth about it in that vlog. However, overall thoughts were, it was okay. I wanted a little bit more. The book is a dual timeline that takes place at this boarding school where a lot of strange happenings happened. One timeline is when the school was up and functioning. There was a little bit of a cult around this book written by a woman that was it was about women's independence, which was great, but these girls took it very seriously, and also there may have been a curse on the land, possibly. The second timeline takes place when they're filming a kind of documentary biopic of the events that happened in the school, and some things are reoccurring to the 3 main characters that are filming. My main thought is I kind of wish I had stuck to one timeline, which is not normally my opinion. I like dual timelines, but it got very back and forth confusing about what exactly was going on, which maybe that was the point of it. I'm not too sure. Just wasn't really my... Next, I read 3 Hard Lessons by Nikki Sloan. This is the sequel to 3 Simple Rules. I read that book last month, really enjoyed it. This one, not so much. I mean, I still enjoyed it, but I didn't like it as much. I wasn't a huge fan of the relationship. It follows Peyton, who works at this club. There she meets Dom, and they kind of are drawn to each other, despite the fact that Peyton kind of swore off love. She thought it would just never really happen for her. And so she ends up going to live in Japan with him because he is working in Japan. It was fine. There were just certain things about their relationship that I didn't love, so unfortunately wasn't my favorite. Next, I read Gods of Jade and Shadow by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I really loved the setting of this one. It takes place in 1920s Mexico and is really based in Mayan mythologies, and it's so cool. About a girl who really wants to do so much more with her life, but unfortunately she's not valued by her family because she's a woman. She discovers a box in her grandfather's study and accidentally releases an immortal god, as one does. It's pretty formulaic in terms of an adventure quest type book. They have to go and he is trying to retake his throne because he's the god of the underworld. It's very much they would go to a place, get to a place, face some sort of conflict, solve the conflict, go to the next place, which was fine. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't something super original in terms of the actual plot line. It was more just the writing style I really enjoyed. I think my biggest wish was that we got a little bit more in depth with the characters. It was very plot driven, quest driven, so I feel we could have had even more of an arc and even more of an inner life from a lot of the characters. It was still a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and just like visually it was very beautiful to read. Then I finally got from the library a copy of The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This book has been all over Book Talk and BookTube, and I get it. I understand why. It is about a girl named Olive who is like trying to like prove to her friend that she's over this guy so that her friend can start dating the guy that she used to date. And to prove this, she grabs the first guy she sees and makes out with him. Turns out he is like the grumpiest professor on campus. He is known for being like really hard on his students, but he is trying to convince the faculty that he is wanting to stay at the school because there's rumors that he is going to leave and go to teach at a different school, so they've like frozen his funding. So the two of them cook up this like fake dating scheme, and it's a fun time. You get some great sunshine grumpy trope. I love Olive and Adam's like relationship, their back and forth, they're like just the way that they talk to each other is just, it's so good. So good. Was not expecting that one. Next, I read These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. This is another one that was like all over Book Talk for a while, and I finally got a copy of it. It was good. I think I would have liked it better if it wasn't YA, just because a lot of the things that happened felt like it could have been deeper if it wasn't a YA book. It like starts out very like Cinderella-esque. It's about a girl named Bree and her sister. They like serve their stepmother type deal. She has two stepsisters. Something happens. I don't want to spoil too much. She ends up in the land of fairy. It felt like The Cruel Prince meets The Selection. I feel like that is the best way to describe it. Yeah, actually, I feel like that is a very accurate description. So I love The Cruel Prince. I don't like The Selection. And I think that that perfectly sums up my feelings of this book. Then I went and read another fairy book. I read Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. I have a lot of mixed feelings about this one as well. I really liked the concept and Fortuna as a character. I felt like it wasn't exactly special or unique to fairy books in general, which isn't a bad thing. Again, similar to Gods of Jade and Shadow, like it's not a bad thing that it's similar to other books. It has similar concepts and tropes and things like that. Like, that's fine. It just, again, wasn't anything particularly like new. This follows Fortuna, who for the past 2 years has been trying to find what happened to her brother. Her brother had disappeared, and several years before, her parents were murdered under mysterious circumstances. She is a creature called a nightmare, so basically she is able to touch a person and discern their like biggest fears. All that really cool, very fun. She ends up in the Court of Nightmares. I don't even remember what it's called. Is it called the Court of Nightmares? It might be the Court of Nightmares. That's what I mean. It wasn't exactly different than anything I've read before. Again, liked Fortuna as a character. She like is very driven. She like dives headfirst in order to save her brother. Love that in a character. Like she does what she has to do, but she's also like extremely compassionate. I honestly did not care for the love interest at all. I thought that Coleth, he was super boring. I didn't understand the draw that they had to each other. There was one thing that happened that I kind of predicted. There was another thing where it was like, I feel like this could have been explored more, explained more, and it probably will be in the next book. Like, I'm definitely going to read the next book because it interested me enough. I'm hoping Coleth isn't her final love interest because, again, I didn't get it. I didn't understand. Oh, I did like that it was set, like, in a modern world, too. That wasn't, like, high fantasy. It was, like, modern world, but also they travel to a very fairy world. The last book that I read was Forever Theirs by Katie Roberts. Love Katie Roberts' writing. It's just so good. This one is a sequel kind of to Theirs for the Night, which I read like 2 months ago. basically, girl Meg, she is taken out with her friends to the club. They're like, girl, you gotta relax, you gotta chill, you gotta have a fun night out. She goes, okay, fine. There she meets these two guys. They have a great night together. And then the next morning she finds out that one of the guys, Theo, is actually a prince. What is it called? Banished. He's been banished from his kingdom, and the other guy is his bodyguard. So that's kind of where we start off with this book. The other one, it's like 80 pages long, super short, very fast, very, very fun. But yeah, so this one has the three of them. She thought that it was just like one night and then it's done. She doesn't want to be caught up in whatever this is, but of course, they're drawn together. And yeah, it's a good time. Very like, there's like a lot of politics and stuff involved as well, which I wasn't expecting. But yeah, I really, really liked the dynamic between the three of them. I am interested to see, because I like read a snippet of the next book, so I'm interested to see how it continues, because it like ended really well. But then I saw the beginning of the next one, and I was like, ooh, okay, didn't expect there to be a continuation, and I'm interested how this continues. I thought the three characters, Meg, Galen, and Theo, that they all had like really strong voices in their POVs, which isn't always the case when there's multiple POVs. All of them had like very different inner lives, which was really just really nice. You could very easily tell who was narrating. So yeah, very fun. So there you go. I had a very average month. Had some really great reads, had some meh reads, which is fine. It's fine. Not every book has to be out of the ballpark amazing. Please let me know down below some of your favorite books that you read in November. Also, if you have any recommendations for fantasy romances, because I've been trying to find books in the realm of like Fortuna Sworn, these holo vows, and some of them are just falling flat, and I really want books similar to that. So if you have any recommendations for me, please leave them down below. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, bye!